a Taliban flag on a US-made Humvee outside the British embassy. There is no doubt about who is in control now. Taliban leaders sit down with the man who led the country until 2014, Hamid Karzai, as the group looks to form a government.
The system of the government is clear. That is an Islamic government. Sharia law would be, of course, there would be no democratic system at all.
In Kandahar, once the base of Canadian forces in the country, Taliban members celebrate the return of co-founder Mullah Baradar from his exile in Qatar. Speaking from exile in the United Arab Emirates, outgoing President Ashraf Ghani says he fled to avoid being lynched. But his Vice President Amrullah Saleh insists he is the new rightful leader, asking Afghans to join the resistance against what he calls Taliban terrorists. An anti-Taliban march in the city of Jalalabad was met with gunfire. At least 3 people were killed. Reports across the country say Taliban members have been knocking on doors, checking people's identities. The UK, like Canada, has promised to accept around 20,000 Afghan refugees. Britain's Interior Minister gave the first indication of details of Canada's resettlement timeline.
We cannot accommodate 20,000 people all in one go. We have to have this. Well, actually, I spoke to the Canadians last night, Kay, and they can't.
On Tuesday, MPs packed the British House of Commons for the first time in the pandemic. Prime Minister Boris Johnson facing scathing words, even from his own MPs, during an emergency sitting of Parliament.
Well, where is our foreign policy determined? Here or in Washington?
I do find it incomprehensible and worrying that the United Kingdom was not able to bring together not a military solution, but an alternative alliance of countries.
This is a shame on all of us. Not just America, but also the whole of NATO.
The Prime Minister told MPs that the Taliban would be judged on their actions and not their words. But Johnson didn't outline what the consequences of that judgment would be. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
From a world away, the streets of Kabul, while quiet, seem peaceful. The Taliban promised tolerance, but that barely lasted a day. Some female journalists have now been banned from appearing on TV, leaving Afghans to wonder what measures may be next. Mina, a healthcare worker whose identity we agreed to conceal, was forced to flee Canada after speaking out against Taliban atrocities in 2019.
They killed mothers, they killed pregnant women, they killed healthcare providers, they killed newborns, innocent children.
She was declared a protected person by Canada's Immigration Board, but the process to reunite with her husband and 3 children who remain in Afghanistan has been slow and cumbersome.
Right now we are just trying to save their lives. We don't think about their future. We don't think about their education right now. They should be safe. We should have them alive.
The federal government says it plans on opening the doors to 20,000 Afghans. The Canadian Council for Refugees says Canada should have stepped up years ago.
And it is heartbreaking to think that if Canada had acted responsibly in the past few years, most of these people would be safely here in Canada.
Mohammed, whose identity we're also concealing, developed close ties to Canada while working in the Afghan Ministry of Finance. That made him a target. He fled in 2019, leaving behind his wife and 10 kids, 6 of them girls over the age of 15. They're educated, he says, with dreams of becoming doctors and business leaders. They're now in hiding and fear being married off to Taliban fighters, or worse.
They call it kanis, you know?
Kanis?
Yeah, that means that you take the woman and whatever you want, you can use for.
Does he sound like she has any rights?
No, no rights.
Mina, he's desperate for his adopted country to step up. His family's lives are at stake. Mike Drolet, Global News, Toronto.